Listen, I need you to stop what you're doing and really hear what I'm about to tell you. Right now, as you're listening these words, there's a version of you living the life you dream about. They're waking up in the home you've always wanted, doing work that lights them up, surrounded by love and abundance, feeling confident and alive in ways you can barely imagine. And here's what's going to absolutely blow your mind. That version isn't some fantasy floating in your imagination. It's as real as the chair you're sitting in right now. You see, I've spent years diving deep into the intersection of quantum physics, neuroscience, consciousness research, and human potential, and what I've discovered will shake you to your core. Your reality isn't fixed. It's not carved in stone by some cosmic force. It's not determined by your past, your circumstances, or your current bank account. It's a frequency you're tuned into, like a radio station, and you have the power to change the channel anytime you want. But here's the tragedy. Nobody ever told you this. You've been walking around thinking you're stuck with whatever hand life dealt you, when in reality you're the dealer, the player, and you can reshuffle the deck whenever you choose. There is an invisible prison around you. You didn't know you built. Let's get brutally honest about where you are right now, because I know you can feel it. You're trapped in a loop, aren't you? Same thoughts spinning in your head like a broken record player that won't stop. Same emotional reactions to the same triggers. Same choices leading to the same outcomes. Same conversations with the same people about the same problems. You wake up, and within minutes, your brain is running the same program it ran yesterday. Worry about money, stress about relationships, anxiety about the future, regret about the past, and by the time you go to bed, you've essentially lived the same day again, just with slightly different external details. And here's the kicker. You think this is just how life is. You've been conditioned, programmed, hypnotized into believing that change is hard, that success is for other people, that you need to work your way up through years of struggle and sacrifice. You've accepted that dreams are nice, but reality is harsh, that you should be realistic about your expectations. But what if I told you that's the biggest, most devastating lie you've ever been sold? What if I told you that this acceptance of limitation is exactly what keeps you locked in a reality that feels smaller than your dreams? The truth is, you're not stuck because you're broken, inadequate, or unlucky. You're stuck because your brain has been wired, through repetition and reinforcement, to stay loyal to the familiar. Your nervous system has been trained to reject anything that feels different from what it already knows, even if what it knows is making you miserable. Every time you focus on what went wrong yesterday, you're programming tomorrow to look just like it. Every time you worry about what might go wrong in the future, you're bleeding energy out of the only moment where reality can actually shift. Right here, right now, in this present moment where infinite possibilities exist. There is a scientific revolution that changes everything. Let me share something with you that will completely reframe everything you think you know about reality. In 1909, scientists performed what would become known as the double-slit experiment, and it literally shattered our understanding of how the universe works at its most fundamental level. They fired tiny electrons through two slits toward a wall, expecting them to behave like tiny particles, like marbles going through doorways. But when no one was watching, when the electrons were left to do their thing without observation, something impossible happened. The electrons acted like waves, somehow passing through both slits simultaneously, creating an interference pattern that should have been physically impossible. But here's where it gets absolutely mind-bending. The moment someone decided to observe the experiment, literally just to look at what was happening, the electrons suddenly chose to behave like particles again. They picked one slit or the other, like they were suddenly aware of being watched and said, okay, fine, I'll follow the rules now. Think about that for a moment. Let it really sink in. At the quantum level, the very foundation of our universe, the building blocks of everything that exists, observation creates reality. The act of watching literally changed the outcome. Reality behaved differently depending on whether a conscious observer was involved. Einstein hated this discovery so much that he spent years trying to disprove it, famously saying, God does not play dice with the universe. But even his brilliant mind couldn't deny the results. Scientists like Niels Bohr, Erwin Schrödinger, and Werner Heisenberg All came to the same mind-blowing conclusion. At the quantum level, consciousness matters. Observation influences outcome. Now, some scientists will argue this only applies to subatomic particles and has nothing to do with daily life. But here's where things get fascinating. If our entire universe is built from particles that behave this way, if the very foundation of reality is probabilistic and influenced by observation, then why wouldn't your thoughts, your attention, your expectations have some effect on what shows up in your life? Your consciousness is the ultimate technology. Your attention isn't passive. It's not just a spotlight that illuminates what's already there. It's a quantum trigger, a creative force that collapses possibilities into reality. Every time you focus on something, you're not just noticing it, you're participating in its creation. Nikola Tesla, one of history's most brilliant minds, understood this long before modern science had the language to explain it. He said, "If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration." Tesla wasn't being poetic or mystical. He was being scientifically precise. He understood that consciousness is a transmitter, broadcasting frequencies that influence the field of possibilities around you. Tesla didn't just invent AC power and the radio. He visualized entire inventions in complete detail before ever building them physically. He would construct machines in his mind, run them, test them, improve them, all in his imagination. Only after perfecting them mentally would he bring them into physical form. And they worked perfectly, exactly as he had envisioned them. This wasn't fantasy or daydreaming. This was Tesla understanding that reality begins in consciousness and then manifests in the physical world. He was essentially hacking the quantum field decades before we had a name for it. Carl Jung, the great explorer of the human psyche, discovered something equally profound. He realized that your unconscious mind isn't just personal. It's connected to something he called the collective unconscious, a field of shared human experience and possibility. From this understanding, he gave us the concept of synchronicity, those strange, impossible coincidences that feel too targeted to be random. You think of someone, and they call you. You need a solution, and the perfect book falls off a shelf in front of you. You shift your mindset about money, and suddenly job offers start appearing. Jung didn't think these were accidents. He saw them as evidence that consciousness is interconnected, that shifts in your inner world create ripples in the outer world. Modern neuroscience has validated what Tesla and Jung intuited. Your brain doesn't just record reality like a passive camera. It actively predicts and constructs it. It filters out 95% of the information available to your senses and feeds you only what it expects to see based on your past experiences and current beliefs. This is why two people can walk into the same room and leave with completely different experiences. This is why once you start focusing on something, red cars, pregnant women, a particular word, it starts showing up everywhere. Your brain is literally constructing your version of reality in real time, based on what you've programmed it to notice and expect. I want you to imagine something powerful with me. Do you know about the story of the 4-minute mile? For centuries, literally hundreds of years, running a mile in under 4 minutes was considered not just difficult, but physiologically impossible. Doctors declared that the human heart would explode from the effort. Athletes believed it was a barrier that could never be broken. It was accepted scientific fact that the human body simply couldn't do it. The medical establishment had proof. They had evidence. They had logical explanations for why it was impossible. And for decades, no one could break through this barrier. The collective belief in limitation created a reality where limitation was all anyone could experience. Then one man, Roger Bannister, decided to stop observing the limitation and start observing the possibility. He began training not just his body, but his mind. He visualized breaking the barrier. He felt it in his imagination. He rehearsed it mentally over and over until it felt more real than the supposed impossibility. On May 6, 1954, Roger Bannister ran the mile in 3 minutes and 59.4 seconds. Shattering what had been considered an absolute human limit. But here's the truly extraordinary part. Within just 6 weeks, Another runner broke Bannister's record. Within 2 months, dozens of other runners had broken the same impossible barrier. Nothing changed in human physiology overnight. Their hearts didn't evolve. Their lungs didn't suddenly become more efficient. But something profound shifted in the field of human possibility. Once one person proved it could be done, that single act collapsed a new timeline into collective consciousness. The old limitations simply ceased to exist. That's quantum observation in action. That's proof of how consciousness shapes reality. Bannister didn't just run fast. He demonstrated what happens when one person stops being hypnotized by collective limitation and chooses to align with a new possibility. Right now, your life is your personal quantum laboratory. Every day, you're conducting experiments in consciousness. Even if you don't realize it, every thought you think, every emotion you feel, every expectation you hold is like adjusting the dials on a quantum radio, tuning into different frequencies of possibility. When you wake up stressed about money, you're tuning into the frequency of scarcity, and your quantum radio starts picking up signals that match that frequency. Bills in the mail, unexpected expenses, people talking about financial struggles. When you assume people won't like you, you're broadcasting that expectation, and you'll notice all the subtle signs that seem to confirm your assumption while completely missing the signals of acceptance and interest. But here's your power. The moment you become conscious of this process, you can begin to direct it intentionally. Instead of being a passive victim of your unconscious programming, you can become the conscious director of your quantum experiments. I've witnessed ordinary people create extraordinary transformations using these principles. I've seen a single mother go from food stamps to financial freedom by shifting her identity from struggling survivor to abundant creator. Instead of constantly focusing on what she lacked, she began embodying the energy of someone who always had enough, who always found solutions, who was supported by the universe. Her circumstances didn't change overnight, but her frequency did, and slowly reality began to reorganize around this new signal. I've watched a chronically shy introvert become a confident public speaker by rehearsing that version of himself daily until it became more real than his old identity. He didn't wait to feel confident before speaking. He started speaking as if he were already confident, and the confidence followed the action. I've seen people heal from chronic pain by changing the story they told about their bodies, shifting from broken and helpless to healing and powerful. I've witnessed relationship transformations when people stopped broadcasting the frequency of unworthy of love and started embodying deeply deserving of connection. These aren't miracles. These aren't special people with magical powers. They're examples of what happens when you stop being a passive observer of your life and start being the conscious director of your quantum reality. The quantum field responds to who you're being. Here's what traditional success advice gets wrong. It tells you to work harder, think positive, set goals, and push through obstacles. But quantum shifting works differently. It's not about forcing outcomes through effort. It's about becoming the vibrational match for what you want to experience. Reality doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to who you're being. If you want abundance, but you're being someone who worries about money, you're sending mixed signals. If you want love, but you're being someone who feels unworthy, you're broadcasting from the wrong frequency. The quantum field is infinitely intelligent, but it's also completely neutral. It doesn't judge your desires or evaluate whether you deserve them. It simply responds to the signal you're consistently broadcasting through your thoughts, emotions, beliefs, and actions. This is why affirmations alone don't work. Saying I am wealthy while feeling anxious about bills creates cognitive dissonance. Your conscious mind might repeat the words, but your subconscious, which is running 95% of your life, knows you're lying. The quantum field reads your authentic vibration, not your wishful thinking. Let me give you a comprehensive roadmap. 7 distinct stages that will transform you from someone who reacts to reality to someone who consciously creates it. Stage 1, radical awareness. Becoming the observer. Before you can shift, you must develop what psychologists call meta-awareness. Awareness of your thoughts as thoughts, not as absolute truth. Most people are completely unconscious passengers in their own lives. running on autopilot programs installed years ago. Start by observing your internal dialogue like a scientist studying a fascinating subject. Notice the stories you tell yourself about what's possible. Pay attention to the emotional states you habitually inhabit. Become aware of the assumptions you make about yourself, other people, and how the world works. This isn't about judging yourself or trying to change anything yet. It's about creating space between you and your thoughts, between your identity and your programming. When you can observe your patterns without being controlled by them, you've taken the first crucial step toward quantum shifting. Keep a consciousness journal. Write down the repetitive thoughts you notice, the emotional patterns that show up, the beliefs that seem to run your life automatically. This awareness alone begins to loosen the grip of unconscious programming. Stage 2. Vivid future visioning. Defining your quantum destination. The quantum field responds to specificity, not vague wishes. You can't shift into a better life. That's too blurry for the universe to lock onto. You need crystal clear, emotionally charged, sensory-rich visions of exactly what you want to experience. This isn't daydreaming or wishful thinking. This is quantum programming. When you create detailed mental movies of your desired reality, you're literally building neural pathways that your brain will later use to navigate toward that experience. What does your ideal day look like from the moment you wake up? What kind of energy do you carry in your body? How do people respond to you? What does your environment look, smell, and sound like? How do you feel about yourself? What thoughts naturally arise in your mind? Write out your vision in present tense, as if it's already happening. Include emotional details, physical sensations, specific conversations, and even the seemingly small moments that make life feel magical. The more vivid and detailed your vision, the easier it becomes for your subconscious to use it as a blueprint. Stage 3. Emotional frequency matching. Becoming the vibration. Here's where most people completely miss the mark. They try to think their way into a new reality, but reality responds to frequency, and frequency is determined by emotion, not logic. You must learn to feel grateful before the blessing arrives, confident before the success manifests, loved before the relationship appears. This isn't fake it till you make it positivity. This is quantum physics. Your emotional state creates your energetic signature, and the universe responds to that signature by delivering experiences that match it. The key is understanding that emotions are not reactions to circumstances. They're choices you can make independent of what's happening around you. You can choose to feel abundant while looking at an empty bank account. You can choose to feel confident while facing a challenge. You can choose to feel loved while sitting alone. Practice emotional recalibration throughout your day. Set random alarms that remind you to check in. What frequency am I broadcasting right now? If it's fear, doubt, or frustration, consciously shift to gratitude, excitement, or peaceful confidence. Don't wait for your circumstances to give you permission to feel good. Feel good first, and watch your circumstances reorganize around that frequency. Stage 4. Identity revolution. Becoming your future self. This is the game changer that separates successful quantum shifters from people who just think about changing. You must stop acting like the person you used to be and start embodying the person you're becoming, even before you have any external proof that the shift is working. Identity isn't something you discover, it's something you decide and then reinforce through consistent action. The wealthy version of you handles money differently today, not after they become wealthy. The confident version of you speaks up in meetings now, not after they build confidence. The healthy version of you makes different food choices immediately, not after they lose weight. Ask yourself constantly, how would the version of me who already has what I want think about this situation? How would they respond to this challenge? What decision would they make right now? Then act from that identity, even if it feels uncomfortable or unfamiliar. Every time you choose the response of your future self over the reaction of your past self, you're literally rewiring your identity at the neural level. Stage 5. Sustained focus. Mastering the quantum Zeno effect. In quantum physics, there's a phenomenon called the quantum Zeno effect. If you observe something frequently enough, you can lock it into place, preventing it from changing. This works both ways, and understanding it is crucial for successful reality shifting. If you constantly focus on what's wrong, what's missing, or what's not working, you're using the quantum Zeno effect against yourself. You're freezing your current unwanted reality in place through repetitive observation. But when you consistently focus on your desired outcome with emotional intensity and unwavering attention, you begin to collapse that possibility into form. The key is sustained focus, not scattered attention. This means disciplining your mind to return again and again to your vision, especially when circumstances seem to contradict it. It means protecting your attention from negative news, toxic conversations, and fear-based media that keeps you vibrating at lower frequencies. Create daily rituals that reinforce your new reality. Vision boards, affirmations, meditation, visualization, but not as one-time activities. Make them non-negotiable daily practices that consistently tune your consciousness to your desired frequency. Stage 6. Detached expectation. Trusting the quantum field. Here's the paradox that trips up most people. The more desperately you want something, the more you signal to the universe that you don't have it. Desperation, anxiety, and attachment actually repel what you're trying to attract because they broadcast the frequency of lack. True quantum shifting requires what I call detached expectation. You know your desired reality is inevitable, but you're not anxiously checking for it every 5 minutes. You've placed your order with the universe, and now you trust the delivery system. This doesn't mean you become passive or stop taking action. It means you take inspired action from a place of knowing rather than desperate action from a place of fear. You work on your goals because it feels good and aligned, not because you're afraid of what will happen if you don't. Think of it like ordering something online. Once you've placed the order and received confirmation, you don't obsessively track the package or worry that it might not arrive. You go about your day with the quiet confidence that it's on its way. Stage 7. Reinforcing new reality. Recognizing the shift. As your internal world shifts, your external reality begins to reorganize. But the changes often start subtly. You must train yourself to recognize and reinforce these early signs, because acknowledging them amplifies the shift. Watch for different responses from people. They might treat you with more respect, seem more interested in what you have to say, or offer opportunities they never offered before. Notice internal changes. You might feel calmer under pressure, more confident in social situations, or more optimistic about the future. Pay attention to synchronicities, meaningful coincidences that seem too perfect to be random. These are signs that you're successfully tuning into a new frequency and that the quantum field is responding to your shift. Keep a success journal where you record every sign of positive change, no matter how small. This trains your brain to notice evidence of your transformation rather than evidence of stagnation. What you focus on expands, so focus on the proof that your reality is shifting. Let me ground all of this in hard science for those who need logical validation. Dr. Bruce Lipton's groundbreaking research in epigenetics shows that your beliefs and thoughts literally rewrite your genetic expression. Your genes aren't your destiny. They're more like a piano, and your consciousness is the pianist, determining which keys get pressed. Lipton discovered that when you change your perception, you literally change the chemistry of your body. Cells respond to their environment, and your internal environment, your thoughts, beliefs, and emotions, is just as influential as your external environment. The placebo effect, one of the most well-documented phenomena in medicine, demonstrates that belief alone can trigger healing responses as powerful as medication. People take sugar pills or receive fake surgeries and experience real measurable improvements in their health. Their belief literally changes their biology. But there's also the nocebo effect, when negative beliefs create negative physical outcomes. I know of cases where people were misdiagnosed with terminal illnesses, believed the diagnosis completely, and died on schedule, only for autopsies to reveal that they had minimal disease that shouldn't have been fatal. They died not from illness, but from belief. Princeton University's Peer Laboratory conducted rigorous studies over several decades, documenting how human intention and focused attention can actually influence random number generators, machines designed to produce completely random results. After millions of trials, they found statistically significant evidence that consciousness can affect physical systems. Dean Radin at the Institute of Noetic Sciences has replicated and expanded on this research, showing that people in deep meditative states can influence physical systems from a distance. The data keeps showing patterns that traditional materialist science cannot explain. Your thoughts aren't just mental noise, they're measurable energy that affects your biology, influences your behavior, and potentially impacts the world around you. When you understand this, quantum shifting stops being mystical and starts being practical. Modern neuroscience reveals that your brain is essentially a prediction machine. It doesn't wait for reality to happen and then respond. It predicts what's going to happen based on past experience and then creates that reality through selective attention and behavioral choices. Neuroplasticity research shows that your brain is constantly rewiring itself based on what you focus on and repeat. Every time you vividly imagine a future scenario, your brain fires the same neural networks as if that scenario were actually happening right now. Your nervous system doesn't distinguish between a real experience, a vividly imagined experience, or a powerfully remembered experience. This is why visualization and mental rehearsal are so powerful. You're not just daydreaming, you're literally installing new neural pathways that will influence your future behavior and perception. When you consistently visualize yourself succeeding, your brain starts to expect success and naturally steers you toward choices and opportunities that align with that expectation. When you repeatedly imagine yourself as confident, your neural networks literally restructure to support confident behavior. The reticular activating system in your brain acts like a filter, determining what information gets through to your conscious awareness. It's constantly scanning your environment for information that matches your current beliefs, expectations, and focus. This is why when you're thinking about buying a particular car, you suddenly see that car everywhere. By consciously programming your ass through focused visualization, affirmations, and emotional alignment, you can literally change what your brain notices and responds to in your environment. Let me give you specific, practical techniques that go beyond basic visualization. The state akin to sleep method. Lie down comfortably and let your body relax completely. Visualize a short, simple scene that implies your wish is already fulfilled. If you want financial abundance, see yourself checking your bank balance and feeling calm satisfaction. If you want love, imagine someone special telling you how much they care about you. The key is to make the scene short, repeatable, and emotionally satisfying. Loop it in your mind while feeling the emotions of already having what you want. Do this until you drift off to sleep or feel the scene lock in with a sense of completion. The next one, called the 2-cup quantum jumping method. This technique uses physical ritual to reinforce internal shifts. Take 2 cups and label them with sticky notes. Cup A represents your current reality. Cup B represents your desired reality. Fill cup A with water while focusing on what you're ready to release. Then pour the water from cup A into cup B, while visualizing yourself stepping into your new reality. Drink the water from cup B slowly and mindfully, feeling yourself embodying your future self. This isn't about the water having magical properties. It's about using physical action to reinforce mental shifts and signal to your subconscious that a transformation has occurred. Next method, emotional blueprinting with past peak experiences. Your emotional state is the key to successful quantum shifting, and the most powerful way to generate elevated emotions is to relive your past peak experiences while visualizing your future desires. Think of a moment when you felt absolutely incredible, holding your child for the first time, achieving a major goal, falling in love, experiencing natural beauty that took your breath away. Relive that memory with full sensory detail until you can feel those same elevated emotions in your body. While you're in that peak emotional state, visualize your desired future as if it's happening right now. This technique creates what neuroscientists call future memories. Your brain literally starts to remember experiences that haven't happened yet in physical reality. Next method, the quantum field meditation. This advanced meditation technique helps you connect directly with the field of infinite possibilities. Sit comfortably and begin by focusing on your breath until you feel centered and present. Imagine yourself as pure consciousness, temporarily disconnected from your physical body and all its limitations. Feel yourself expanding beyond the boundaries of your skin, becoming one with the space around you. From this expanded state, set a clear intention for what you want to experience. Don't ask or beg. Simply declare your reality with the authority of someone who already has complete access to all possibilities. Spend time in this space of pure potential, feeling yourself as the conscious creator of your experience. When you return to normal awareness, carry that sense of creative power with you into your daily life. Now let's take a look at common traps in quantum shifting and how to avoid them. Understanding what can go wrong will help you do it right. Trap 1. Spiritual bypassing. Some people use quantum shifting as a way to avoid dealing with real psychological issues or practical responsibilities. They think if they just visualize enough, they won't have to do the inner work of healing trauma, developing skills, or taking concrete action. Quantum shifting isn't about escaping reality. It's about engaging with reality from a more empowered state. You still need to process emotions, heal wounds, develop competencies, and take consistent action. The difference is that you're doing all of this from the identity of your future self, rather than your wounded past self. Trap 2. Attachment to specific outcomes. When you become obsessed with exactly how and when your desires will manifest, you create resistance that actually blocks the very thing you want. The universe often has better ideas than your limited perspective can imagine. Hold your vision clearly, but remain open to how it unfolds. Sometimes what you think you want isn't what you actually need for your highest good. Trust that if you're aligned with your authentic desires, reality will deliver something even better than what you originally imagined. Trap 3. Impatience and instant gratification. We live in a culture that expects immediate results, but deep transformation takes time. Even in quantum systems, coherence builds gradually. Even in neuroplasticity, new patterns require repetition to become stable. Don't dig up the seeds by constantly checking for progress. Plant them with your visualization and emotional alignment, water them with consistent practice, and trust the natural timing of manifestation. Trap 4. Trying to control others. Some people misuse these techniques to try to manipulate or control other people's behavior. This always backfires because it violates the free will of others and comes from a place of ego rather than authentic alignment. Focus exclusively on your own frequency, your own identity, your own choices. When you genuinely shift into your highest self, people will naturally respond differently to you, but this happens as a byproduct of your transformation, not as a manipulation tactic. When you begin to quantum shift, something beautiful and profound happens that extends far beyond your personal transformation. Your shift creates permission for others to shift. It sends ripples through the collective consciousness that make change easier for everyone. Just like Roger Bannister's 4-minute mile opened the floodgates for other runners, your transformation becomes living proof that change is possible. Your joy becomes contagious. Your confidence gives others permission to believe in themselves. Your success expands the field of possibility for everyone who witnesses it. Every time you choose love over fear, abundance over scarcity, empowerment over victimhood, you're not just changing your own reality, you're contributing to the evolution of human consciousness itself. This is perhaps the most profound aspect of quantum shifting. You're not just improving your life, you're participating in the elevation of our entire species. You're becoming a walking example of what's possible when a human being remembers their true creative power. I'm going to leave you with a challenge that's really an invitation to step into your full power. For the next 30 days, I want you to live as if the version of yourself you most want to become is already real. Not fake it till you make it, but genuinely embody that frequency with every fiber of your being. Wake up as them, make decisions as them, speak as them, feel as them. When old patterns try to resurface, and they will, don't fight them or judge yourself. Simply return to the frequency of your future self, like tuning back to your favorite radio station. This isn't about perfection. It's about consistency. It's about choosing your new identity more often than you choose your old one. It's about becoming so familiar with your elevated state that it becomes more natural than your previous limitations. Keep a daily journal of your experiences. Notice how people respond to you differently. Pay attention to opportunities that show up. Observe the synchronicities and signs that indicate you're successfully shifting frequencies. But most importantly, notice how you feel about yourself. Notice the increasing sense of personal power, the growing confidence in your ability to create your reality, the deepening trust in your connection to infinite possibility. Your quantum moment is now. The universe isn't withholding your dreams from you. Your dreams are withholding themselves from the version of you that doesn't believe they're possible. But the moment you align with the frequency of your desired reality, mentally, emotionally, energetically, and through consistent action, that reality has no choice but to materialize. Your future self is calling you forward right now. They're living the life you want, feeling the freedom you crave, expressing the gifts you were born to share, contributing to the world in ways that light up your soul. The gap between you and them isn't a chasm to cross, it's a frequency to match. The quantum field is waiting for your decision. It's loaded with infinite possibilities, all equally available, all equally real. Your reality is waiting for your alignment. Your life is waiting for you to remember who you really are and what you're truly capable of creating. You are not a victim of circumstances. You are not at the mercy of random events. You are not limited by your past or defined by your current conditions. You are a conscious creator, a quantum being having a human experience with access to unlimited possibilities. The shift starts now. The choice is yours. Your quantum reality is waiting. What will you choose to observe into existence today? What frequency will you broadcast into the field? What version of yourself will you embody as you step into this new moment of infinite potential? Your transformation begins now. Your quantum shift is happening. Your new reality is already on its way. The universe is listening. What signal will you send?
You may wonder, what does it mean to do it alone, human form? Now let us explore how this principle applies to your daily life. Imagine you desire a new job, a position that fills you with excitement and purpose. The common approach would be to scour job listings, to network feverishly, to plead your case to potential employers. And while these outer actions may have their place, they are not the source of your success. Instead, I urge you to do it alone. Retreat into the theater of your mind. There, in that sacred space, see yourself already occupying that position. Feel the satisfaction of doing work that inspires you. Hear the congratulations of your colleagues. Experience the pride of your loved ones. Make this inner experience so vivid, so real, that when you open your eyes, you will be surprised to find yourself still in your current circumstances. This, my friends, is the art of assumption. When you assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, when you live from the end as if it were already a reality, you set in motion forces beyond your conscious understanding. The entire universe conspires to bring about the conditions that match your inner state. But remember, this is not mere positive thinking or idle daydreaming. This is a fundamental shift in your concept of self. You are not trying to change things. You are changing the thinker. You are revising your own identity to match your desire. Let me share with you a profound truth. The outer world is dead. Yes, you heard me correctly. The world you perceive with your senses is but a shadow, a reflection of past thoughts and assumptions. It has no power to create, no ability to cause. It can only reflect what you hold in your consciousness. This may seem a stark statement, perhaps even a disturbing one, but I assure you it is the key to your freedom. For if the outer world is dead, if it has no power to create or cause, then you are liberated. Of course not. You plant the seed, you provide the proper conditions, and then you allow the innate intelligence within that seed to do its work. Your desires, your goals, your aspirations. These are seeds you plant in the fertile soil of your consciousness. Your task is not to force them into manifestation through sheer will or endless action. Your task is to plant them properly, to nurture them with your assumption of their fulfillment, and then to allow them to grow and manifest in their own divine timing. This is the art of doing it alone. It is the recognition that you are the gardener of your own mind, the cultivator of our own reality. No one else can plant these seeds for you. No one else can assume the sealing of their fulfillment on your behalf. This is your sacred duty, your divine right, and your ultimate power. Now, some of you may be thinking, what about the challenges I face? What about the obstacles in my path to this? I say these challenges, these obstacles, they are not what you think they are. They are not external forces conspiring against you. They are not proof of your limitations or your unworthiness. No, my dear friends, these challenges are invitations. They are calls to go deeper into yourself alone. Nothing could be further from the truth. When you learn to do it alone, when you recognize your own divine nature, you become capable of truly loving others. You see, most human relationships are based on need, on the belief that we are incomplete without the other. We seek in others what we believe we lack in ourselves. But when you know that you are complete, that you contain within yourself the fullness of being, then your relationships transform. You no longer approach others from a place of lack or need, but from a place of love. This is the paradox of doing it alone. It enables you to connect more deeply with others. For when you no longer need others to complete you, you can appreciate them for who they truly are. You can love them freely without conditions or expectations. You can allow them to be themselves without trying to change them to fit your needs. Consider the sun. Does it shine only on those it deems worthy? Does it withhold its light from those it judges undeserving? No, it shines on all equally, giving of itself freely and abundantly. This is how you will relate to others when you master the art of doing it alone. You will be like the sun, radiating love and creativity, not because you need anything in return, but because it is your nature to do so. But to reach this state, you must first do the inner work alone. You must confront your own shadows, face your own fears, and dissolve your own limiting beliefs. This is not always easy. It requires courage, persistence, and faith. But I assure you, my dear friends, the rewards are beyond anything you can imagine. For when you learn to do it alone, you discover that you are never truly alone. You realize that you are the creator of my reality. Why do I sometimes experience unwanted circumstances? Why do I face challenges and difficulties? This is a profound question, and it strikes at the heart of our discussion. The answer lies in understanding the nature of consciousness and the process of creation. You see, your outer world is not created by your conscious thoughts alone. It is shaped by the totality of your consciousness, including your deepest beliefs, your habitual thoughts, and even the aspects of yourself that you may not be consciously aware of. When you experience unwanted circumstances, it is not a failure of your creative power. It is simply a reflection of some aspect of your consciousness that you may not have fully recognized or addressed. This is why doing it alone is so crucial. It requires you to delve deep into your own being, to confront and transform the hidden beliefs and assumptions. Now, bring those conversations into your present. Begin to speak to yourself as if your desire were already fulfilled. Have imaginary conversations with others where they congratulate you on your success. Feel the naturalness of these conversations, the ease with which they flow. This technique is a powerful way of doing it alone. It allows you to align your inner world with the reality you wish to create, regardless of your current circumstances. And as you persist in these new inner conversations, you will find your outer world beginning to shift and change to match your world. But remember, my dear friends, this is not about escaping reality or living in a fantasy world. It is about recognizing the true nature of reality itself. What you perceive as the real world is simply the outpicturing of consciousness. By changing your consciousness, you literally change your world. You must understand that every imagined scenario exists as a reality in the dimension of consciousness. When you imagine yourself in a desired state, you are not creating something new. You are tuning into an already existing reality, a version of yourself that already possesses what you desire. Your task then is not to create this reality, but to align yourself with it. This alignment happens within you, in the privacy of your own consciousness. It is a solitary act, a sacred communion between you and the infinite possibilities that exist within you. This is the deepest meaning of doing it alone. It is the recognition that you are the operant power in your world, that you are the one who selects and animates the particular version of reality you experience. No one else can do this for you, about every movement, every note. But as you practice, as you begin to embody the state of being a musician, your actions become more fluid, more natural. You no longer have to think about every little movement. The music simply flows through you. This is how manifestation works when you truly understand the principle of doing it alone. You don't force the outer actions. You change your inner state, and the appropriate actions flow naturally from that state. But there's an even deeper truth here, my dear friends. As you advance in your understanding and application of these principles, you may find that less and less outer action is required. For when you are truly aligned with your desire and consciousness, the entire universe moves to bring about its manifestation. This is what I mean when I say that creation is finished. All possible states, all possible versions of reality already exist in the dimension of consciousness. Your task is not to create these realities, but to select and animate the one you desire through your assumption and feeling. This selection, this animation happens within you. It is a solitary act, a sacred communion between you and the infinite possibilities that exist within you. This is why no one else can do it for you. This is why you must do it alone. But remember, doing it alone does not mean you are separate or isolated from the world around you. Quite the opposite. When you master the art of doing it alone, you realize your oneness with all of creation. You understand your situation, but it also means that you have the power to change anything and everything in your life. Consider for a moment the implications of this truth. If you are the dreamer of your life, then everything and everyone in your experience is a reflection of your own consciousness. The people you interact with, the circumstances you encounter, the very world you perceive, all of it is you pushed out. This is why doing it alone is so crucial. For if everything is a reflection of your consciousness, then the only place where change can truly occur is within you. The outer world being a reflection can only change when you change. But here's the beautiful paradox when you fully embrace the idea of doing it alone. When you take complete responsibility for your life experience, you also realize your profound connection to all of existence. For if you are the dreamer of your life, and if everything in your experience is you pushed out, then you are, in a very real sense, everything and everyone. This realization dissolves the illusion of separation. It reveals the underlying unity of all things. And from this place of unity, true love and compassion naturally arise. For how can you not love others when you recognize them as aspects of yourself? This is why the great spiritual teachers throughout history have emphasized self-realization. They understood that true transformation, true liberation can only come from within. They knew that each of us must make this journey alone, must discover our true nature for ourselves. As you continue on this path of doing it alone, you will begin to experience life in a completely new way. You will no longer feel at the mercy of external circumstances. You will no longer seek validation or approval from others. You will stand firm in the knowledge of your own divine nature, your own creative power. From this place of inner certainty, you will find that life begins to flow with an ease and grace you never thought possible. Opportunities will seem to arise spontaneously. Desires will manifest with surprising speed and in unexpected ways. You will experience a deep sense of peace and fulfillment regardless of outer conditions. But perhaps the most beautiful transformation will be in your relationships with others. As you learn to do it alone, as you discover your own completeness, you will no longer approach relationships from a place of need or lack. Instead, you will come from a place of fullness, of love freely given without condition or expectation. You will see others not as separate entities to be manipulated or controlled, but as beloved aspects of yourself, as unique expressions of the same consciousness that you are. This shift in perception will transform all your relationships, bringing a depth of love and understanding you may have thought impossible. And as you move through the world from this state of consciousness, you will naturally inspire others. Without effort or intention, you will serve as a living example of what is possible. Your very being will be a testament to the power of doing it alone, of taking responsibility for one's own consciousness. But remember, my dear friends, this is not about becoming some perfect, flawless being. It is about embracing all aspects of yourself, including your perceived flaws and weaknesses. For these too are part of the magnificent tapestry of your being. Part of the challenges and difficulties you face will be recognized as sacred invitations to grow and evolve. This shift in perception, this new way of experiencing life, is the true fruit of doing it alone. It is the realization of your divine nature, the embodiment of your creative power. It is the fulfillment of your purpose as a unique expression of the infinite. But let me be clear, my beloved. The state of consciousness is not some distant goal to be achieved in the future. It is not something you need to strive for or earn. It is your true nature, your natural state of being. It is available to you here and now, in this very moment. All that is required is a shift in your assumption, a change in your concept of self. And this shift, this change, can only occur within you. It is something you must do alone. So I urge you, my dear friends, embrace this teaching. Take it into your hearts and minds. Test it in the laboratory of your own experience, for it is only through your own direct experience that you will truly understand the power and the beauty of doing it alone. Remember, you are not separate from the creative power of the universe. You are that very power, focused into this particular point of view. You are the operant power in your world, the author of your own story, the creator of your own reality. Embrace this truth, live from this understanding, do it alone, and watch as your world transforms before your very eyes. Go forth from this place with a new understanding.
Listen to me carefully. Right now, in this very moment, you are more powerful than you've ever been told. You are not just flesh and bone walking through a predetermined world. You are a conscious being wielding forces that most people spend their entire lives completely unaware of. I'm going to share something with you that changed everything for me, and I believe it will change everything for you too. But first, let me ask you this. Have you ever felt like there's something more, like you're operating at maybe 10% of your true potential? That feeling isn't random, it's your inner wisdom trying to wake you up. What if I told you that reality isn't what you think it is? That your mind holds a force so powerful it can bend energy, rewrite your future, and turn you into an unstoppable force. You've been deliberately kept in the dark, and today that changes forever. 3 years ago, I was stuck, completely stuck, working a job that drained my soul, struggling financially, watching other people succeed, while I felt like I was running through mud. I kept thinking, there has to be more to this. And that's when I discovered something that scientists have been proving for decades, but somehow, most of us never learned about it. Your consciousness, your very awareness, is not separate from the physical world around you. It's actively creating it, moment by moment, thought by thought, emotion by emotion. Here's what blew my mind. 99% of people are programmed to weaken themselves. They unknowingly drain their own power, sabotage their potential, and live their entire lives at a fraction of what they're truly capable of. But you're about to break free from that programming forever. Here's what quantum physicists science. Your mind isn't just processing reality. It's participating in creating it. Every thought you think, every emotion you feel, is sending out measurable electromagnetic frequencies that interact with the world around you. Dr. Joe Dispenza's research shows us that our thoughts literally rewire our brains. Dr. Bruce Lipton proved that our beliefs control our gene expression. Dr. Rupert Sheldrake's morphic field theory shows that human consciousness is like an interconnected energy web, allowing us to influence each other in ways most people can't even comprehend. These aren't feel-good concepts. These are scientific facts that demonstrate your incredible power to reshape your life from the inside out. Most people have been conditioned to believe that thoughts are just ideas trapped inside their heads. But this is completely false. Thoughts are not passive. They are real forces of energy that actively interact with the world around you. Your mind isn't just processing internal experiences. It's broadcasting energetic signals into the quantum field, shaping reality in ways you've never been taught to understand. Science has now confirmed that your brain functions like a quantum computer, capable of processing millions of energetic calculations per second. And here's where things get even more shocking. Your thoughts don't just exist in your brain, they extend beyond your body into the very structure of reality itself. Here's something that will change how you see yourself forever. Your heart generates an electromagnetic field that's 5,000 times stronger than your brain's. 5,000 times. That means your emotions carry more power than your thoughts alone. This is why when you walk into a room feeling confident and energized, people notice before you even speak. This is why some people seem to effortlessly attract opportunities, while others struggle despite working twice as hard. They've learned to master their energy field, often without even realizing it. Inside your neurons, scientists have discovered microtubules, tiny tube-like structures that seem to operate as quantum processors. According to physicist Sir Roger Penrose and anesthesiologist Dr. Stuart Hameroff, these microtubules allow your brain to function as a biological quantum computer, meaning your subconscious mind is directly altering quantum waves in the universe. Your thoughts are sending out measurable electromagnetic frequencies that ripple outward. You are already connected to the entire field of reality. You just haven't been trained to use it deliberately. I want you to try something with me right now. Place your hand over your heart. Feel it beating. That organ isn't just pumping blood, it's broadcasting your emotional state to everyone around you. When you feel grateful, genuinely grateful, your heart creates coherent, organized patterns that extend several feet beyond your body. When you're stressed or fearful, it creates chaotic patterns that literally repel the good things you want in life. Here's the brutal truth. 95% of people are living their lives on autopilot, running the same mental programs they've had since childhood. They wake up thinking the same thoughts, feeling the same emotions, and wondering why nothing changes. But you're different. The fact that you're here, listening this, tells me you're ready to break that cycle. You're ready to step into your true power. Most people focus on what they don't want. They spend their mental energy thinking about their problems, their limitations, their fears, and because energy follows attention, they keep creating more of exactly what they're trying to avoid. Here's the problem. No one has ever taught you how to control it. Most people go through life completely unaware that they are constantly transmitting energy into the quantum field. They think their thoughts stay locked in, programming your energy to pull in the life you desire, or you are unconsciously pushing it away. Every negative thought, every moment of doubt, every time you replay a limiting belief in your mind, you are locking yourself deeper into a reality you don't want. Let me give you a practical exercise that will prove to you right now that you already have this power. Step 1. Think of one area where you feel stuck. Maybe it's money, relationships, health, or career. Really feel that limitation for a moment. Write down how you currently perceive it. For example, I struggle with money. Step 2. Now write down the exact opposite version of this reality. For example, money flows to me effortlessly. Step 3. Close your eyes and imagine that exact reality. See yourself already living that success. Feel the emotions deeply, as if it's happening now. Don't just think about it. Embody it. Immerse yourself in the feeling of it. Step 4. For the next 60 seconds, hold that state. Breathe it in. Let every cell in your body remember what success feels like. What you just did was demonstrate quantum mechanics at work. You shifted your vibrational frequency. You changed the electromagnetic field your heart is broadcasting. For the past 60 seconds, you shifted your focus, which means you shifted the energy around you. And if you practice this daily, your external reality will begin to mirror this internal shift. This is how energy control begins, but this is just the first step. Your superpower is in your heart-brain connection. Here's something most people never learn. When your heart and brain are in coherence, when your emotions and thoughts are aligned, you were right all along. We are energetic beings living in an energetic universe, and we can learn to consciously direct these forces. Your energy is not just influencing your own life, it's actively shaping the world around you. It means that your thoughts and emotions are being picked up by others before you even say a word. It means that the opportunities, the relationships, and even the money you attract are being directly influenced by the frequency you are broadcasting at every second of the day. Break free from the programming. Most people are walking around with invisible chains, mental programs that keep them limited. I'm not good enough. Money is hard to come by. Success is for other people. These aren't truths. They're programs running in the background of your mind, creating your reality. But here's the beautiful thing. Programs can be rewritten. Neural pathways can be rewired. Your subconscious mind, which controls 95% of your thoughts and behaviors, can be reprogrammed. Dr. Joe Dispenza has shown that neurons that fire together wire together. This means that every time you replay a negative thought or focus on an outcome you fear, you are literally hardwiring your brain to make it your reality. But if you want proof, look at your own life. How often have you expected something to go wrong, only for it to happen exactly as you feared? How many times have you focused on what you lack, only to experience even more of it? This isn't a coincidence. This is your energy locking you into a pattern that keeps repeating itself. Every time you catch yourself thinking a limiting thought and consciously replace it with an empowering one, you're literally rewiring your brain. Every time you choose to feel gratitude instead of fear, you're reshaping your electromagnetic field. Here's something that will expand your mind. Dr. Rupert Sheldrake's research has already proven that human brains can become quantum entangled, which means that two people's energy fields can literally sync up even across vast distances. This explains why you think about someone and suddenly they call or text you, why you walk into a room and immediately sense the energy of the people inside, why you have a gut instinct about something and it turns out to be right. These aren't random coincidences. These are real, measurable energy transmissions happening between you and the people around you. Your energy field is like a radio station, and you can only receive what you are tuned into. If your dominant energy is fear, doubt, and scarcity, you will attract people, situations, and events that match that frequency. If your dominant energy is certainty, power, and success, you will begin pulling in experiences that reflect that. Small shifts in consciousness create massive changes. in reality. It's like compound interest for your life. Each day you practice energy mastery. Each moment you choose empowering thoughts over limiting ones. Each time you align your heart and mind, it all builds on itself. I've seen people completely transform their lives in months, not years, once they understand and apply these principles consistently. Not because they got lucky, but because they learned to work with the fundamental forces that govern how reality operates. Here's the most powerful shift you can make. If you start obsessively focusing on what you want, your reality has no choice but to change. Right now, close your eyes and imagine your ideal life. The success, the freedom, the power. How often do you actually let yourself live in that reality mentally? If the answer is rarely, you've just found the reason you aren't there yet. What you focus on expands, and when you start focusing on your future as if it's already yours, reality starts bending to match it. Here's your daily energy practice, the foundation of your transformation. Here's what I want you to commit to, starting today. Number 1, morning power ritual. Before you check your phone, before you let the world in, spend 5 minutes connecting with the version of yourself you're becoming. See them, feel them, breathe as they breathe. Find a quiet place and close your eyes. Take 3 deep breaths, inhaling for 5 seconds, holding for 5 seconds, and exhaling for 5 seconds. Repeat 3 times. Think about a moment where you felt deep gratitude or love. It can be a person, an experience, or even the feeling of achieving your biggest goal. As you focus on that feeling, imagine it expanding outward from your heart. Feel it radiating through your entire body. Hold this state for 60 seconds. Let it consume you. Number 2, heart coherence check. 3 times throughout the day, place your hand on your heart and ask, what am I broadcasting right now? If it's not aligned with what you want to create, take 30 seconds to shift it. Number 3, visualization mastery. Visualize your highest self, the version of you who already has everything you desire. Now embody them. Feel their energy. Walk the way they walk. Breathe the way they breathe. Think the way they think. Hold this state for at least 3 minutes. When you open your eyes, carry that energy into the rest of your day. Number 4, evening gratitude reset. Before sleep, feel genuine appreciation for 3 things that happened that day. This programs your subconscious mind with positive frequencies while you rest. Your body isn't just a physical vehicle. It's a sophisticated energy system with its own intelligence. Every cell contains mitochondria that produce energy. Every organ has its own electromagnetic field. Your nervous system is essentially an electrical network more complex than any computer. Think of your body like a battery, but not just any battery. This is a special kind that can be recharged and made stronger through simple daily habits. Every morning when you wake up, your energy levels start fresh. But by lunch, many people feel tired and reach for coffee or sugar. This happens because they're losing energy without knowing how to keep it. The secret is that we can actually control how our energy flows and builds throughout the day. Your body creates energy in every cell, every second. This energy moves through your body like electricity through wires. When the energy flows smoothly, you feel strong, focused, and ready for anything. When it gets blocked or leaks out, you feel tired and stressed. The ancient Chinese discovered this energy system over 5,000 years ago. They called it qi, life force energy. They found that certain breathing patterns, movements, and pressure points could increase and direct this energy. Modern science now proves they were right. When you align your thoughts and emotions with what you want to create, you're not just changing your mind, you're restructuring your entire biological system to support your new reality. Let me share something that still gives me chills. Your brain has approximately 86 billion neurons, each capable of making thousands of connections. The number of possible neural combinations exceeds the number of atoms in the known universe. Think about that. Your potential for growth, for new thoughts, for different experiences is literally infinite. You are not fixed. You are not limited by your past. Every moment is an opportunity to forge new neural pathways and step into a new version of yourself. The human body generates different types of energy. Electrical signals in our nervous system, chemical energy from food, and thermal energy through body heat. By learning to direct these energies, we can create real changes in our physical state and performance. The electromagnetic field generated by our heart is the strongest in the body, measurable up to several feet away. Research shows this field changes based on our emotional state. Positive emotions create coherent, ordered patterns, while stress and negative emotions create chaotic ones. Here's an advanced concept that will accelerate your transformation. In the quantum field, linear time doesn't exist the way we experience it. Past, present, and future are happening simultaneously. When you visualize your desired future with such intensity that it feels completely real, you're not just imagining, you're connecting with a version of yourself that already exists in the quantum field. The more real you make it in your mind and heart, the faster that reality collapses into your current timeline. This is why Olympic athletes visualize their performances in detail before competing. This is why successful entrepreneurs see their companies thriving before they built them. They're not just hoping, they're using quantum mechanics to pull their desired future into their present reality. At the quantum level, particles can be in multiple states and places at the same time. This quantum effect happens with the energy in our bodies too. The electrons in our cells follow these same rules. They can tunnel through barriers and exist in different energy states all at once. By learning to sense and direct this quantum behavior, we can do things that seem impossible. I need to be honest with you. As you begin this journey, resistance will show up. Your old programming will fight back. Your subconscious mind, comfortable with familiar patterns, will try to pull you back to what you've always known. This is normal. This is expected. This is actually a sign that you're making progress. When you feel this resistance, don't fight it. Acknowledge it and continue anyway. Every time you choose growth over comfort, you strengthen your ability to create conscious change. Remember, your current reality is the result of past thoughts and emotions. There's a lag time between shifting your energy and seeing the physical changes. Trust the process. Stay consistent. The transformation is happening even when you can't see it yet. Many people waste their energy without realizing it. They tense their muscles when they don't need to. They hold their breath during stress. They forget to take breaks when working. All these habits drain energy that could be used better. Here's the secret that accelerates everything. Combining clear intention with elevated emotion. When you think about your desired future and feel the emotions of already having it, gratitude, joy, excitement, love, you create a powerful electromagnetic signature that reorganizes reality around you. Most people think about what they want from a place of lack, feeling the absence of what they desire. But masters think about their goals from a place of fulfillment, feeling the presence of what they're creating. This emotional shift is everything. It's the difference between hoping and knowing, between wishing and creating, between dreaming and manifesting. Physical energy and mental energy are connected. When your body's energy is strong, your mind works better. When your mind is calm and focused, your body's energy flows better. This creates a positive cycle that keeps building on itself. Let me give you some specific techniques you can use immediately. Number 1, energy sensing exercise. Put your hands about 6 inches apart, palms facing each other. Focus on the space between them. Many people notice a slight tingling or pressure. That's energy. Practice moving your hands slightly closer and further apart, paying attention to how the sensation changes. Number 2, energy direction practice. Once you can feel energy, you can start directing it. Think of it like learning to flex a new muscle. Start by visualizing the energy as a bright light or gentle warmth. Try moving it between your hands, making it stronger or softer. Number 3, emotional energy clearing. Pick an emotion you want to feel, maybe confidence. Sit quietly and remember a time you felt really confident. Let that feeling fill your body. Now imagine that feeling as energy you can store and use later. Practice calling up that energy when you need it. Number 4, environmental energy work. Notice when a room feels heavy or tense. You can shift this by visualizing bright light filling the space or using your hands to sweep away stagnant energy. Many people report feeling lighter and more positive after energy clearing. Number 5, protection and healing. Feeling overwhelmed? Visualize excess energy draining into the ground. Need protection? Picture a shield of light around you. Want to heal faster? Direct healing energy to that part of your body. Let your new identity be the conscious creator. From this moment forward, I want you to see yourself differently. You are not a victim of circumstances. You are not at the mercy of your environment. You are not limited by your past. You are a conscious creator, equipped with the most sophisticated quantum computer ever designed, your brain connected to the most powerful electromagnetic broadcaster in your body, your heart operating within an infinite field of possibility. When you wake up tomorrow morning, before your feet hit the floor, remind yourself, I am the author of my reality. I am the architect of my experience. I have the power to choose which version of myself I embody today. Success isn't something you earn, it's something you align with. Think about this. There are people right now working 100 times harder than you, and they're still broke. Then there are people who barely work at all, yet everything flows to them effortlessly. Why? Because your life is not dictated by effort alone. It is dictated by your vibrational set point, the default energetic state you live in. One of the most powerful tools in your energy mastery toolkit is presence. When you're fully present, not lost in thoughts about the past or worries about the future, you access a state where transformation happens naturally. In presence, you're not running old programs. You're not reacting from conditioning. You're responding from your true self, the conscious, creative being you actually are. Practice catching yourself when your mind wanders to limitation, doubt, or fear. Gently bring your attention back to this moment, to the feeling of your breath, to the power of your heartbeat. This simple practice rewires your brain for presence instead of programming. Your breath connects your conscious mind to your energy system. Practice holding your breath for short periods after exhaling. This creates brief energy charges you can learn to direct. Start with 5 to 10 seconds and increase gradually. As you begin to master your own energy, you'll notice how differently you interact with others. Instead of being affected by their moods and limiting beliefs, you become a source of positive influence. You'll start attracting people who match your new frequency, while naturally distancing yourself from those who drain your energy. This isn't being selfish. It's being responsible for your energetic state and consciously choosing to surround yourself with people who support your growth. Remember, you can't change others, but you can change yourself so profoundly that your very presence inspires change in those around you. The people around you influence your energy state. Some people leave you feeling energized, others drain you. Start spending more time with those who boost your energy and limit contact with those who drain it. The quantum field is your infinite playground. Here's something that will expand your perspective forever. According to quantum field theory, the space between atoms isn't empty. It's filled with infinite potential energy called the quantum field, or zero-point field. This field responds to consciousness. It responds to intention. It responds to the coherent energy of your heart and mind working together. When you align yourself with this field through focused intention and elevated emotion, you tap into possibilities that seem miraculous to those who don't understand how it works. The quantum field doesn't respond to what you wish for, it responds to what you focus on. Whatever dominates your attention will expand. This isn't just some positive thinking concept. This is neuroscience and quantum mechanics in action. Every moment, you're broadcasting an energetic signature based on your dominant thoughts and emotions. This signature attracts experiences, people, and opportunities that match its frequency. Take a moment right now to tune into what you've been broadcasting lately. Has it been confidence or doubt, gratitude or complaint, possibility or limitation? Whatever it is, remember that you have the power to change it in an instant. Your energetic signature is your reputation in the quantum field. Make sure it's representing the version of yourself you want to become, not the version you're trying to leave behind. If you are stuck in doubt, fear, and limitation, your energy field is in a low-frequency state, and you are repelling the very things you desire. But the moment you learn how to shift into confidence, certainty, and gratitude, your energy expands, your reality reorganizes, and you begin pulling in exactly what you want. Make this your new normal. Transformation isn't about having one powerful experience. It's about integrating new ways of being into your daily life until they become your new normal. Start small. Choose one limiting belief and consciously replace it with an empowering one every day. Pick one area of your life and consistently visualize it improving. Select one elevated emotion and practice feeling it regularly, even when circumstances don't justify it. Small, consistent actions create massive transformations over time. You don't need to change everything at once. You just need to change something every day. The best part about energy control is that it builds over time. Each day you practice these techniques, your energy system gets stronger. It's like building a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. Soon, high energy becomes your normal state instead of something that comes and goes. You're not alone on this journey. All around the world, people are waking up to their true power. They're realizing that they're not victims of circumstance, but conscious creators of their experience. Connect with others who understand these principles. Share your experiences. Support each other's growth. When conscious creators come together, their combined energy creates possibilities that none of them could achieve alone. This is why people who expect the worst always seem to get it. Why people who are constantly anxious seem to attract more things to be anxious about. Now look at the most successful people you know. They walk into a room and people feel their energy before they even speak. They exude a presence that makes others want to follow them. This is not luck. This is energy mastery. Commit to your transformation. This is where I challenge you to make a decision. Not tomorrow, not next week, but right now. Are you ready to step into your power? Are you willing to take responsibility for your energy and consciously direct it toward the life you truly want? If you are, then make this commitment. For the next 30 days, you will practice energy mastery daily. You will catch yourself when you're operating from old programs and consciously choose new thoughts and emotions. You will visualize your desired future with such clarity and feeling that it becomes more real to you than your current circumstances. The more you train yourself to operate from this frequency, the more your reality will begin to mirror it back to you. This is the secret that 99% of people will never understand. They will continue living life on autopilot, reacting to circumstances, hoping something changes. But not you, because you are no longer waiting for reality to shift. You are shifting it yourself. This is the moment of truth. Right now, you stand at a crossroads. You can walk away from this knowledge and continue living as you always have. Or you can embrace your true nature as a conscious creator and begin transforming your reality from the inside out. The choice is yours. But know this. You were meant to hear these words. You were meant to remember your power. You were meant to break free from limitation and step into the fullness of who you really are. Once you open this door, you can never unsee what's inside. Once you understand these laws that govern reality manipulation, you'll realize that there are no limits except the ones you've been programmed to believe in. Your energy is your signature in this universe. Make it count. Make it powerful. Make it reflect the magnificent being you came here to be. I want you to say this out loud with conviction, feeling every word. I am a conscious creator, wielding the power of focused intention and elevated emotion. I choose my thoughts deliberately. I feel my emotions consciously. I direct my energy purposefully. My past does not define me. My circumstances do not control me. I am the author of my reality, and I am writing a story of unlimited possibility. I understand that energy cannot be created or destroyed, only controlled. I understand that my thoughts send out measurable energy waves. I understand that my heart's electromagnetic field is 5,000 times more powerful than my brain's. I understand that reality remains undefined until I observe it. Today, I step into my power. Today, I align with my highest potential. Today, I become who I was always meant to be. I am no longer waiting for reality to shift. I am shifting it myself. Now, here's my final challenge for you. If you truly want to bend reality, you need to reprogram your subconscious mind and energy field to match the life you want. Do this exercise daily, and your reality will start shifting fast. Find a quiet place and close your eyes. Take 3 deep breaths, inhaling for 5 seconds, holding for 5 seconds, and exhaling for 5 seconds. Visualize your highest self, the version of you who already has everything you desire. Now embody them. Feel their energy, walk the way they walk, breathe the way they breathe, think the way they think. Hold this state for at least 3 minutes. When you open your eyes, carry that energy into the rest of your day. The revolution begins with you. Your energy mastery journey starts now. The universe is listening. Reality is responding. Your transformation has already begun. Remember, you don't just have potential, you are potential, unlimited and waiting to be expressed. Go forward and create the impossible. The world needs what you came here to give. Everything you've been taught about how reality works is wrong. You've been programmed to believe that life follows a linear path, that things happen by chance, and that the universe is indifferent to your existence. That's a lie. Reality is not fixed. It is fluid, malleable, and constantly responding to the energy you emit. The only reason most people don't see this is because they are unconsciously following a script that was never theirs to begin with. Right now, you're either commanding reality or you are being controlled by it. There is no in-between. Your energy, your choice, your reality, your time. Energy mastered. My friends, what I am about to share with you tonight will fundamentally alter your understanding of consciousness itself. And more importantly, it will reveal to you the most profound secret that has been hiding in plain sight within the pages of Scripture for nearly 2,000 years. A secret so powerful that once you grasp its true meaning, you will never again wonder whether your desires can become reality. For you will know with absolute certainty that they already are reality in the realm of imagination, waiting only for your recognition and acceptance to manifest in what we call the physical world. Tonight, we are going to explore what the ancients called the mind of Christ, but not as theologians have interpreted it, not as moralists have reduced it to mere ethical behavior, but as the mystics have always known it to be, a state of consciousness so elevated, so aligned with the fundamental creative principle of existence, that it serves as a literal portal between the world of imagination, where all things exist in their perfect state, and this world of shadows and reflections, where we experience the outpicturing of our inner convictions. But before we dive into the depths of this mystery, let me tell you something that will shake you to your very core. Every single person who has ever walked this earth and accomplished anything truly extraordinary, every individual who has ever transcended their circumstances and created miracles in their life, has discovered and applied these very principles, whether they called them by the name of Christ consciousness or universal mind, or the creative power of assumption. For there is only one power, one presence, one law operating in all creation, and that is consciousness itself. Your consciousness, individualized and personalized as your own wonderful human imagination. Now, what I am about to share with you may surprise those who have been taught to think of Christianity as separate from or opposed to other spiritual traditions. The truth is that every great mystical system that has ever existed on this earth has taught the same fundamental principle, that consciousness is the creative power of the universe, that man is made in the image and likeness of this creative principle, and that through the proper use of imagination and assumption, any individual can transform their life and circumstances in ways that would appear miraculous to those who do not understand the law. The ancient Egyptians spoke of the neter, the divine principle within man that could reshape reality through focused intention and visualization, and their mystery schools taught initiates how to identify with this divine essence rather than with their physical form or circumstances, how to live from the consciousness of the God within rather than from the consciousness of the mortal without. The Hindu tradition teaches that Atman, the individual soul, and Brahman, the universal consciousness, are one and the same, and that the recognition of this unity dissolves all sense of separation and limitation, revealing the individual as nothing less than the creative power of the universe, temporarily forgetting its true nature but always capable of remembering and reclaiming its divine inheritance. The Buddhist understanding of the void or emptiness points to the same truth, that what we call solid reality is actually the projection of consciousness, that all phenomena arise from and return to the fundamental creative principle that the Buddhists call Buddha nature, which is not different from what Christians call the Christ within, or what mystics of all traditions recognize as the divine spark of creative imagination that dwells at the heart of every human being. But here is what makes the Christian revelation so uniquely powerful and practical. Jesus did not merely teach these principles philosophically or metaphysically. He demonstrated them physically and historically. He showed us exactly what happens when a human being fully realizes and embodies their divine nature. When someone completely identifies with the creative principle rather than with appearances. When consciousness operates without the interference of doubt, fear, or limitation. Now you might ask yourself, how can this be? How can consciousness alone be responsible for the world I see around me? And this is where modern science begins to catch up with ancient wisdom. For quantum physics has revealed to us that matter, at its most fundamental level, is not solid substance, but rather organized energy, patterns of possibility that collapse into specific realities only when observed by consciousness itself. The double-slit experiment, conducted countless times in laboratories around the world, demonstrates beyond any shadow of doubt that the very act of conscious observation determines whether energy manifests as particles or waves, whether potentiality becomes actuality, whether the quantum field of infinite possibilities crystallizes into specific, measurable phenomena. And this is not theory or speculation. This is repeatable, verifiable scientific fact. Dr. John Wheeler, one of the most respected physicists of the 20th century, stated that consciousness is the fundamental reality, and what we call matter is merely consciousness acting upon itself, echoing almost exactly what Jesus taught when he declared that the kingdom of heaven is within you, that the creative power of God operates through your own consciousness, that what you bind on earth through your assumptions and beliefs is bound in heaven, and what you loose on earth through your change in consciousness is loosed in heaven. The field of epigenetics has shown us that our beliefs and mental states directly influence which genes are expressed in our physical bodies, that consciousness literally rewrites the biological programs that determine our health, our longevity, our physical capabilities and limitations, proving scientifically what mystics have always known, that consciousness is senior to matter, that mind shapes body, that our inner state determines our outer experience in ways that are measurable, predictable, and completely within our conscious control. What Jesus understood, what every mystic who has ever walked this earth has discovered, is that consciousness does not emerge from matter. Rather, matter emerges from consciousness, and the quality of consciousness, the specific state or feeling tone of awareness that we habitually maintain, determines the nature of the world that unfolds around us. But now let me tell you something that will change everything for you. This power, this Christ consciousness, this ability to walk between worlds and command reality to conform to your vision, is not the exclusive property of one man who lived 2,000 years ago. It is your birthright, your natural inheritance as a being made in the image and likeness of the creative principle itself. The portal that Jesus opened and walked through is the same portal that stands open before you this very moment, and that portal is your own wonderful human imagination, elevated to the level of absolute conviction, charged with the feeling of reality, infused with the certainty that what you imagine is more real than what your senses report to you about your current circumstances. For you see, when Paul declared, "We have the mind of Christ," he was speaking in the present tense, not about some future attainment or reward for good behavior, but about the immediate availability of this transformative consciousness to anyone who will dare to assume the feeling of their wish fulfilled and persist in that assumption until it hardens into fact in their outer experience. Imagination is not fantasy. Imagination is not daydreaming. Imagination is not escape from reality. Imagination is the very mechanism through which reality is created, the divine faculty through which consciousness projects itself into form and experience, the bridge between the invisible world of pure potentiality and the visible world of manifested actuality. When you imagine yourself already in possession of what you desire, when you feel the reality of your wish fulfilled, when you assume the state of consciousness that corresponds to your dream already realized, you are not pretending or make-believing, you are actually occupying that state in the only realm where it can be occupied before it manifests physically. You are claiming your desire in the world of causes, so that it must inevitably appear in the world of effects. This is why Jesus taught his disciples to pray, believing that they had already received what they asked for, why he instructed them to thank God before the miracle occurred rather than after, why he consistently demonstrated the principle of living from the end rather than living from the beginning, because he understood that consciousness creates by assumption, that what you assume to be true about yourself and your world must become true in your experience, because consciousness has no choice but to express itself, to outpicture itself, to create conditions and circumstances that match its inner conviction and expectation. And here is something that will revolutionize your understanding of what faith really means. Faith is not believing despite the evidence. Faith is not hoping that God will eventually answer your prayers if you ask sincerely enough or wait patiently enough. Faith is the actual feeling of your wish fulfilled. It is consciousness occupying the state that corresponds to your desire already realized, already accomplished, already yours in the world of imagination, where all things exist in their perfect and completed form. When the woman with the issue of blood touched the hem of Jesus' garment and was instantly healed, Jesus perceived that power had gone out from him because he was operating from a consciousness so thoroughly identified with wholeness, with perfection, with the unlimited creative power of God, that anyone who came into resonance with that frequency, anyone who matched that vibration of absolute conviction, immediately experienced the manifestation of their own healing assumption. This is not mysterious. This is not supernatural in the sense of being beyond natural law. This is the most natural thing in the world when you understand that consciousness is the substance of all that exists, and that like attracts like, that consciousness resonates with consciousness, that the feeling you maintain about yourself and your world creates an attractive field that draws to you the circumstances and experiences that match your inner state. But here is where most people fail to understand the true nature of faith. They think faith requires the absence of doubt. They believe they must maintain perfect mental control and never allow a negative thought to enter their minds. They exhaust themselves trying to force positive thinking and then wonder why their demonstrations are inconsistent or why their desired manifestations seem to take so long to appear. The truth is that faith is not the absence of doubt, but the persistence of assumption. Despite the presence of doubt, faith is not perfect mental control, but the consistent return to your desired state. Whenever you become aware that you have wandered from it, faith is not forcing positive thoughts, but gently and persistently occupying the feeling of your wish fulfilled, until that feeling becomes more familiar, more natural, more real to you than your current circumstances. Jesus himself experienced doubt and fear. In the Garden of Gethsemane, he prayed, "Father, if it be possible, let this cup pass from me," acknowledging the natural human response to difficult circumstances. But then he immediately returned to his fundamental assumption of divine will and purpose, declaring, "Nevertheless, not my will but thine be done," demonstrating that faith is not the absence of human emotions, but the consistent choice to identify with divine rather than human consciousness. To live from the level of spirit, rather than from the level of flesh. To maintain your assumption of good, despite temporary fluctuations in feeling or confidence. Now I want you to understand something profound about the nature of transformation. You cannot change your world by fighting against what you do not want. You cannot create a new reality by struggling against your current circumstances. For struggle itself is a state of consciousness that perpetuates the very conditions you are trying to escape. The art that Jesus mastered, the consciousness that he embodied and demonstrated, was the art of turning away from the evidence of the senses and turning toward the reality of imagination, the art of living from the end rather than living from the beginning, the art of assuming the feeling of your wish fulfilled and maintaining that assumption regardless of what your current circumstances might suggest about the likelihood or possibility of your desire coming to pass. When Jesus raised Lazarus from the dead, he did not plead with God to perform a miracle. He did not hope that perhaps this time his prayer might be answered. No, he thanked God before the resurrection occurred, because he was operating from a level of consciousness that knows only completion, only fulfillment, only the eternal, now where all things exist in their perfect state, waiting only for recognition and acceptance. Consider the profound wisdom in Jesus' words when he declared, "It is finished." He was not referring merely to his physical crucifixion, but to the eternal truth that all creation is already complete in the mind of God, that every possible state, every conceivable condition, every imaginable experience already exists in the realm of pure consciousness, waiting only for individual awareness to claim it, to identify with it, to assume it as true. This is why the mystics of all traditions have taught that the spiritual path is not about becoming something you are not, but about remembering what you have always been, not about earning God's favor or developing supernatural powers, but about awakening to the divine nature that has never been absent from you, that constitutes the very essence of your being, that is the source and substance of your consciousness and the creative power behind all your experiences. The ancient Hermetic axiom, "as above, so below," points to this same truth. What exists in the realm of spirit must manifest in the realm of matter. What is true in consciousness must become true in experience. What is assumed in imagination must appear in manifestation, because there is only one power, one presence, one law, operating at every level of existence, and that is consciousness itself, your consciousness, forever creating your world according to the pattern of your dominant mental states and habitual inner conversations. And this brings us to the most practical and immediately applicable aspect of everything I am sharing with you tonight. You do not need to earn your good. You do not need to deserve your desires. You do not need to prove yourself worthy of the life you want to live. For you are already worthy by virtue of the fact that you can conceive of a better state. You can imagine a more beautiful experience. You can feel the reality of your wish fulfilled. The only thing standing between you and the realization of your every desire is your willingness to assume that you already are what you want to be, that you already have what you want to have, that you already experience what you want to experience, and to persist in that assumption until your outer world reshapes itself to conform to your inner conviction. This is what it means to have the mind of Christ. It means to think from your desire fulfilled, rather than thinking of your desire unfulfilled. It means to speak from the consciousness of having, rather than from the consciousness of wanting. It means to move through your world with the quiet confidence of one who knows that the creative power of the universe is always saying yes to your dominant mental state, always outpicturing your habitual inner conversations, always manifesting the world that corresponds to your level of self-definition and expectation. But let me share with you a secret that will accelerate your progress immeasurably. The speed and ease with which your assumptions manifest in your experience is directly proportional to the naturalness with which you can maintain them. The effortlessness with which you can occupy the state of your wish fulfilled, the simplicity with which you can feel yourself to be what you want to be without strain, without force, without the exhausting effort of trying to convince yourself of something that feels foreign or impossible. This is why Jesus taught, "My yoke is easy and my burden is light." Not because the spiritual path requires no discipline or commitment, but because when you understand the law correctly, when you work with consciousness rather than against it, when you assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled rather than trying to manifest through willpower or mental effort, the process becomes as natural as breathing, as simple as choosing to think one thought rather than another, as effortless as deciding to feel grateful instead of resentful, satisfied instead of lacking, confident instead of afraid. The great secret of assumption is that you do not create your desire. Your desire already exists in the infinite field of consciousness, already perfect, complete, yours by divine right. You simply identify with it. You simply claim it. You simply assume that you are the person who naturally and easily experiences what you want to experience, what you want to have, what you want to be. Now, many people ask me, Neville, if consciousness is the only reality, if assumption creates facts, if imagination is God in action, then why don't my desires manifest instantly? Why is there often a time lag between my assumption and its manifestation? Why do some things appear quickly while others seem to take much longer? And the answer to this question reveals one of the most profound aspects of how consciousness operates in what we call the three-dimensional world of time and space. Time is not an absolute reality, but a dimension of consciousness itself, a framework through which infinite possibility expresses itself in sequential, ordered manifestation, allowing for the development, growth, and perfection of individual awareness. The interval between assumption and manifestation serves several divine purposes. First, it allows consciousness to test its own conviction, to prove to itself the reality of its creative power, to develop faith through persistence rather than demanding instant gratification like a spoiled child who has not yet learned the beauty of sustained, focused intention. Second, the time interval allows for what we might call divine editing. As you maintain your assumption of the wish fulfilled, consciousness automatically adjusts and refines the manifestation to bring you not just what you asked for, but the perfect expression of what you really wanted, often in ways far more beautiful and harmonious than you could have specifically imagined. Third, the gestation period between conception and birth in consciousness parallels the gestation period in nature. Just as a seed does not instantly become a tree, just as a child does not instantly become an adult, the assumption of consciousness must be allowed to ripen, to mature, to develop all the necessary supportive conditions and circumstances that will allow your desire to manifest in the most perfect and sustainable way possible. Jesus understood this principle perfectly, which is why he taught, "In your patience possess ye your souls." Not patience as passive waiting or resignation to circumstances, but patience as the active maintenance of your assumption despite appearances, as the persistent return to the feeling of your wish fulfilled, regardless of how long the outer world takes to conform to your inner conviction. But here is something that will transform your relationship with time and manifestation forever. Instead of measuring your progress by external changes, instead of judging the effectiveness of your practice by how quickly things appear in your physical world, begin to measure your progress by the ease and naturalness with which you can maintain your desired state, by the consistency with which you can return to the feeling of your wish fulfilled, by the growing conviction that what you have assumed in consciousness must inevitably become fact in experience. For the truth is that every assumption you make, every state you occupy, every feeling you maintain is instantly creating its corresponding reality in the invisible realm of causes. And the physical manifestation is simply the automatic, inevitable outpicturing of what has already been established in consciousness. The delay is not in consciousness, but in matter, not in spirit, but in flesh, not in cause, but in effect. But now you may wonder, how do I actually apply this? How do I move from understanding these principles intellectually to experiencing their reality in my daily life? And the answer is beautifully simple, though it requires the kind of disciplined mental practice that most people are unwilling to undertake because they are addicted to the evidence of their senses, hypnotized by their current circumstances, convinced that what is must continue to be. The practice begins with the recognition that consciousness is the only reality, that your awareness, your sense of I am, is the creative principle itself, individualized as you, and that whatever you consistently assume to be true about yourself must manifest as your experience, because consciousness has no choice but to express itself, to outpicture itself, to create a world that matches its inner nature and conviction. Every morning when you awaken, before you allow your mind to become occupied with the problems and concerns that your current circumstances suggest, spend time in the secret place of consciousness, in the sanctuary of imagination, where you can assume the feeling of your life already transformed, your desires already fulfilled, your problems already solved in the most beautiful and harmonious way imaginable. But let me give you a specific technique that will make this practice incredibly powerful and effective. Instead of trying to visualize complex scenarios or detailed scenes, which can sometimes feel forced or artificial, simply ask yourself this question. How would I feel if my desire were already realized? What would be the natural, inevitable feeling tone of my consciousness if I were already the person I want to be? If I already had what I want to have? If I already experienced what I want to experience? And then, without effort or strain, without trying to convince yourself of anything, simply allow that feeling to arise naturally in your awareness. Allow it to permeate your consciousness like a gentle fragrance. Allow it to become the background feeling tone against which all your other thoughts and experiences occur throughout the day. This feeling, this simple, natural, effortless feeling of your wish fulfilled, is worth more than 1,000 affirmations, more powerful than the most elaborate visualization, more effective than any technique or method you could possibly employ. Because this feeling is the actual substance of your desire. This feeling is consciousness itself, assuming the shape of your fulfilled wish. This feeling is God in action, creating your world according to the pattern of your inner conviction. Feel yourself living from the end. Feel the satisfaction of your wishes realized. Feel the joy of obstacles overcome. Feel the gratitude of prayers answered. And do this not as a technique or method designed to manipulate reality from the outside, but as a recognition of what is already true in the world of imagination, as an acceptance of what is already yours by divine right, as an acknowledgement of what must inevitably manifest, because consciousness always expresses itself as experience. When doubts arise, when circumstances seem to contradict your assumptions, when well-meaning friends and family members try to convince you to be realistic about your limitations and the impossibility of your dreams, remember that Jesus was surrounded by doubters who laughed at him when he declared that the young girl was not dead, but only sleeping. And remember that he asked those doubters to leave the room before he performed the resurrection, because consciousness responds to the dominant vibration in any environment, and faith cannot operate freely in an atmosphere of doubt and disbelief. This is why it becomes so important to choose your mental environment with the same care that you would choose your physical environment, to select your inner conversations with the same discrimination that you would use in choosing your closest friends, to guard your consciousness with the same vigilance that you would guard your most precious possessions. For your consciousness is your most precious possession. Your awareness is the creative principle itself. Your imagination is the very power through which God creates and sustains the universe. But here is a profound secret that will liberate you from the exhausting effort of trying to maintain perfect thoughts or control every mental fluctuation. You do not need to be perfect in your practice. You do not need to maintain your assumption every single moment of every single day, or never have a doubt or fear or negative thought in order for your desires to manifest. What you need to do is this. Whenever you become aware that you have strayed from your desired state, whenever you notice that you have returned to old patterns of thinking or feeling, whenever you catch yourself dwelling in the consciousness of lack or limitation or fear, simply and gently return to your assumption. Resume to the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Occupy again the state that corresponds to your desire already realized. This gentle, persistent return to your desired state is what develops the spiritual muscle of assumption. This consistent choice to identify with your fulfilled desire, rather than your present circumstances, is what gradually shifts the center of gravity of your consciousness from the world of effects to the world of causes, from the realm of appearances to the realm of reality, from the consciousness of man to the consciousness of God. This is why it is so important to guard your mental atmosphere with the same vigilance that you would guard your physical health, to choose your inner conversations with the same care that you would choose your closest friends, to select your mental images with the same discrimination that you would use in choosing art for your home. For your consciousness is your home. Your inner world is where you truly live. And the quality of that inner environment determines the nature of everything that manifests in your outer experience. When you truly understand this, when you realize that consciousness is cause and everything else is effect, you will stop looking to the world to change so that you can feel better about yourself and your circumstances. And you will begin the magnificent work of changing your conception of yourself so that the world must change to reflect your new level of awareness and expectation. You will realize that every circumstance in your life, whether you judge it as positive or negative, pleasant or unpleasant, wanted or unwanted, is simply consciousness externalized, the automatic outpicturing of your dominant mental states and habitual assumptions about yourself and your world. And therefore, every circumstance can be changed by changing consciousness. Every condition can be transformed by transforming your inner conversation, and every situation can be healed by healing your self-concept. This understanding brings tremendous freedom, because it means you are never at the mercy of external conditions, never dependent upon the cooperation of others, never limited by your past or your present circumstances. For consciousness is always free to assume a new state. Awareness is always capable of identifying with a higher possibility, and imagination is always able to conceive of and feel the reality of a more beautiful experience. But with this freedom comes tremendous responsibility. For once you understand that consciousness is the creative power behind all your experiences, you can no longer blame others for your difficulties. You can no longer make excuses for your failures. You can no longer claim to be a victim of circumstances beyond your control, because you will know that you are the author of your own experience, the creator of your own reality, the God of your own world, through the Christ consciousness that operates as your own divine imagination. This is both humbling and empowering. Humbling because it means taking full responsibility for everything in your life, acknowledging that every condition you experience is the result of some assumption you have made about yourself or your world. Accepting that your outer experience is always a perfect mirror of your inner state, whether you are conscious of that state or not. But it is also infinitely empowering, because it means that no matter what your current circumstances may be, how difficult or challenging or seemingly impossible your situation may appear, you always have the power to change it by changing consciousness. You always have the ability to transform it by transforming your assumption, to heal it by healing your self-concept and assuming a new and better state. You will realize that every desire that has ever stirred your heart, every dream that has ever captured your imagination, every vision of a better life that has ever inspired you to reach beyond your current circumstances, is not a random occurrence or wishful thinking, but is actually the movement of the divine creative principle within you, calling you to expansion, calling you to growth, calling you to the full realization of your infinite potential as a being made in the image and likeness of consciousness itself. And you will understand that the resurrection that Jesus demonstrated is not something that happens after death, but something that can happen every moment of every day as you die to old concepts of limitation and lack and are reborn into new states of abundance and fulfillment. As you crucify the false beliefs that have kept you bound and rise into the glorious recognition of your true identity as the operant power of consciousness in your world. For death, in the mystical sense, is simply the abandonment of an old state of consciousness, and resurrection is the assumption of a new and higher state. And this process of dying and being reborn can happen as often as you choose to let go of what you have been and assume what you want to become, as frequently as you decide to release identification with your limitations and identify instead with your possibilities, as regularly as you choose to stop being the person who lacks what they want and start being the person who naturally and easily has what they desire. This is the true meaning of being born again, not a one-time religious conversion or emotional experience, but the continuous process of emerging from lower states of consciousness into higher states, of evolving from limited self-concepts into unlimited self-realization, of growing from the human consciousness that sees itself as separate from God into the Christ consciousness that knows itself to be one with the divine creative principle. Every time you assume a better state, Every time you identify with a higher possibility, every time you choose to feel grateful instead of resentful, abundant instead of lacking, confident instead of afraid, you are experiencing a resurrection. You are demonstrating the power of consciousness to rise above circumstances. You are proving that spirit is senior to matter, that mind is more powerful than conditions, that assumption creates facts regardless of what the facts appear to be. Let me leave you with one final thought that will seal everything I have shared with you tonight, deep into your consciousness. The greatest miracle is not the transformation of your outer circumstances, though that will surely follow as night follows day when you understand and apply these principles. The greatest miracle is the transformation of your inner awareness, the awakening to your true identity as the divine creative principle individualized. The recognition that you are not a human being seeking a spiritual experience, but rather a spiritual being having a human experience, temporarily forgetting your divine nature, but always capable of remembering, always able to reclaim your birthright as the son or daughter of the Most High, always empowered to demonstrate through your own experience that with God, which is your consciousness, all things are possible. The portal is open. The way is clear, the power is yours. Not tomorrow, not when conditions improve, not when you become more worthy or spiritual or deserving, but now, in this eternal moment, where all creation exists, where all possibilities live, where all dreams wait to be born into the world of form, through the magnificent creative power of consciousness itself, operating as your own divine imagination, forever and always your faithful servant, ready to give you the kingdom that has been prepared for you from the foundation of the world, ready to manifest in your experience every good thing that you can conceive and believe and assume to be true about yourself and your wonderful, infinite, eternally abundant life.